I need to do it because I have like an 87.
All right, last day. Y'all ready? Knock this out. Let's talk for a few minutes quick on the last chapter, chapter 16. I'll share the screen and go from there. I'm going to shoot through this stuff pretty quick because I want to watch those last few videos. So we will get to that point. Okay, so this one's all about your future as far as moving up, doing the best job that you can as a manager. How can you improve yourself along the way? And I think that it's very important in not just recreation therapy, but in whatever you end up doing to be a lifelong learner. And that's a, you know, it's a fancy little sounding term, but all that means is just keep up with what's going on in your profession and watch for, you know, studies that have to do with things that you actually do, and look for new ways to do things, and don't get stuck in that rut of, no, this is how we do it. This is how we've always done it. I've been there. I've done that at the end of my time at NMRC, and I don't even like to admit this, but like I had been over the aquatics program for a long time. And I had my way of doing things, and I became kind of stagnant and set in my ways. And what I was doing was effective, but even I realized to the point where I told my boss, like, you know what, it's about time for somebody else to take over this aquatics program because they need some fresh blood, some fresh ideas, just a different vibe in here, like it's time. That it was a case of me really, all I had to do to re-energize myself would be to try to learn some new techniques, do a little bit of research, try some things that I haven't been doing, and it would kind of rejuvenate me back to being more excited. But I let myself, this is kind of a burnout symptom, honestly. I let myself get into that. No, this is how we do it. This is the time frame we use. This is the equipment we need. It was the same. And it's not how you need to be effective in your career. So as far as this one we talk about, again, it doesn't necessarily have to just go with recreation therapy, although that's what we're talking about us being leaders of. We provide essential public service. We need to take a look at and base things that we do on research, on evidence-based practices. That's, you know, like, why do we need to know the history of therapeutic recreation? So we don't go back and do things that have been proven to be ineffective, you know? So by doing that, we're making what we offer better. And as we're overseeing other people, we're able to lead them into using things that we can teach them about to provide to the patients. Formal education and training is part of the deal. We, you know, a lot of times you get that through seminars that your company may have, the place where you work, conferences, CEU opportunities. I mean, that's the key. If you have an opportunity to, you know, when I was at NMRC, they would bring in students to do practicums, internships and such, and what they got out of the deal was they could send employees to school at Ole Miss because we had Ole Miss students coming to us for training out there. So take advantage of, I mean, I got my master's degree. Thank you, NMRC. They paid for it. You know, I took my courses for CTRS because of the same thing. They paid for every one of those classes for me. So take advantage of the chance of formal education and training that you can get. There's professional organizations that we can join. All strong professions are going to have professional organizations. local level, state level, national level, and even worldwide level. And you think about that as far as like MRPA, Mississippi Recreation and Park Association. They have a therapeutic recreation group that's in that. You've got ATRA, you've got, the big conferences that NRPA, National Recreation and Park Association, that tons of people from all over the country go to. These are the professional organizations that we have. A strong profession is also going to have ethical practices. We've gone through, I don't recall if we did it in this class or not, but we've gone through the ethics guide from ATRA before. It's talking about things like beneficence, non-malfeasance, fidelity, all of those things that we've gone through. That is the ethical framework for recreation therapy. A strong profession is going to have credentials that are able to be earned, and they're going to have standards that are upheld by some sort of governing body. The NCTRC is who we go through to get certified as a CTRS. If it comes down the pipe that you are getting in trouble for not providing quality services, you're not a good representative of NCTRC as a CTRS, then you would be have a good chance to lose your certification. You're not staying up to standards, so we would need to make sure that we do that. Ethics, we talked about this before. We know what ethics are. That's just your values, your underlying rights that we think everyone deserves, and how they are going to be treated while they are in contact with us when we're giving them treatment, when we're working with them. So the goal of ethics, as it's is listed here, determine what's good, what is right to do in a situation. A lot of times our professional behaviors or things that we do at work, whether they are deemed to be appropriate or inappropriate, are judged by what is seen as ethical behavior or unethical behavior. That's how a lot of times we're looked at. Was that an ethical choice? A lot of times, as it says here, it's in the eye of the beholder, conforms to social norms, while unethical behavior does not conform to social norms. So social norms are what we all know. It's, kind of like the golden rule and things like that. We know that we should do this. It's kind of common sense. That's how you treat other people. Ethics, in large part, that's kind of what ethics are. So further, when we're talking about ethical principles, these are the ones that were listed in the ATRA form that we've gone over and shared and talked about each one. Autonomy, you're giving them a chance to make choices, to have input on what they're doing. Beneficence, we're trying to benefit the clients. Non-maleficence, I hate that word. It's hard for me to even get that one out. I don't know. Maleficence, I think, would have EA in it somewhere, but what in the movie Maleficent was spelled just like that with a T at the end, right? So we're gonna go with that. Disney can't be wrong. Wasn't that a Disney thing? Non-maleficence or maleficence, whatever we want to call it, is a situation where we're not doing anything that's going to hurt our clients through neglect, through us trying to do an activity that we're not trained to do. You're not going to take just climb up a mountain one day and say, all right, let's go hang gliding. Let's see how this goes. I've never tried this. Come on. That would be a definite case of unethical practice on your part. It's over the top and it's silly, but it's a good example. Competence, we need to be competent in what we're doing. Justice, that in large part comes down to we give everyone the same amount of effort, the same amount of attention, and the same amount of time. You know, just because I like Haley more than I like Ross. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that out loud. Just kidding. No, just because you know you're going to have clients that you're going to click with and favor, and there's no way around that. That's just human nature. You click with some people better than you do with others, and so it's more fun for you to work with them because they're bubbly and happy when you know. You need to remember that as far as our ethics, we are bound to give everyone equal effort, equal time. Now, if you have a client who is absolutely, you know, does not, you know, refuses service, can you make them do it? No, you cannot. So, yeah, if they're turning down what you're trying to offer them, then maybe your favorite can get a little extra time. But that's based on your offer being turned down by someone else. I mean, you see what I'm saying? You're not just making that choice yourself. Veracity. Geez, I'm going blank on veracity right now. And I just talked about it. Fidelity, let's skip that one. If you have a question about veracity, you can look it up in the book because it's slipped my mind at this moment, and I don't know why. Fidelity, do what you say you're going to do. Accountability, we hold ourselves accountable for, that goes along with fidelity. Hold ourselves accountable for what we are saying we're going to do and for what we're supposed to be doing. We have to give confidentiality to our clients on things that they need confidentiality on, and respect. We all know what respect is. We are expected to give our clients and patients respect along the way. So decision making, we have to make those based on values and beliefs, and not just of ourselves, but of our facility, of the place where we work. Sometimes we have to ask, you know, just because we believe something, we need to kind of get that seconded by someone who's above us before we make strong decisions on a lot of things. As we mature, which means as you've been in the field for longer, as you've had more experiences, your values are developed, clarified, tested, and revised. So you're going to see things, you're going to live things, you're going to have situations arise in the workplace that are going to shape your values and maybe even change your values along the way. Things that you think you know and things that you think are important. You know, the main thing I want to do is this. You know, then you get out in the field and start working and you see, you know what? This is actually more important. You know, through experience, you learn a lot. Through experience, you will get better at leading activities. Through experience, you will be more comfortable with trying to motivate clients who are not motivated to get better on their own. You'll find tips, you'll find little tricks that will help you. As we mature, as you spend more time in the field, you get better and better and better and more comfortable, and it becomes secondhand. Same thing in other fields as well. You know, the more experiences we get under our belt, the more ready we are to handle things as they come up because you've seen it before. So professional values that we're talking about, they're defined by practice models, research, evidence, and standards. Big part, practice models, which are kind of what your facility is going to ask that you do. And your standards that you set for yourself are the two main things that I see on that one from personal experience. When we make decisions, we need to make sure that we are taking into account the rights of the individuals we're serving, Rights need to equate with responsibilities and duties. Remember that the client has a right to privacy, and as a professional, we have a duty to secure privileged information. I was on Blackboard Grade Center right before I came in here this morning. I had to make sure that my door was locked because, I mean, it's not telling your social security numbers or anything, but I had grades pulled up on my computer. So I made sure that my door was locked where somebody couldn't just walk in and see all your grades. I don't even remember if it was this class that I had open, but you know, that's just an example of we have a duty to secure that information isn't for everyone's eyes. So make sure that you secure, make sure that you don't leave a notebook with progress notes just laying out where another patient can see it. You know, things like that. In decision making, something that's important, especially if you are in a managerial leadership position, there will be times where you may be engaged in disciplinary action to a worker. Someone isn't showing up for work on time. You know, someone isn't following direct instructions of how they're supposed to do specific things. They're not doing their paperwork. They're supposed to clock out when they go to lunch, but they're not doing that. They're just slipping off. You know, things like that. And you have to do disciplinary action. The employee, you have to remember that there is in your policies and procedures, and there will be policies and procedures that are going to have to do with this, because disciplinary situations can lead all the way to lawsuits. You know, if someone feels like they're being picked on, and this is a lawsuit happy society that we live in these days. So we have to make sure that we give the employee due process and that we follow the proper steps to this due process when there's a disciplinary situation that comes up. So remember that we have, that's one thing that if you're not going to follow things by the letter of the law all the time, if you have to do a disciplinary action, you better get in that handbook and see how it's supposed to be done. Because if you, that's something you don't want to screw up. Because then they come and say, well, they didn't give me the chance to do this or that. That would, you know, defend myself on the situation or explain. You better make sure you're following the proper protocol when there has to be a disciplinary action. I'm trying to get that in your mind because there really is importance to that. So as a manager, your decisions are going to be influenced by your personal and your professional values and rights. So yes, what we do in our free time and whether we are trying to be lifelong learners is going to play into this, you know, our decisions that we make. We have personal values and we have professional values, and you can see how those will usually be aligned, but in some cases they may be a little different for each person. You know, a lot of people are a little different at work than they are at home. Most people are. You know, you got to have a little different persona, a little more, you know, for me especially, I have to be a little more serious when I'm at work than I would have to be at home rolling around on the floor with with 3 kids trying to poot on my head. You know, that's my life at my house. I'm just being honest. That's it. I don't know where they learn that kind of stuff. Anyway, our professional values and rights, they are in the things that we've talked about. We've got standards of practice. We've got codes of ethics. Again, recreation therapy, you can look at that. ATRA has a very strong code of ethics. There is another group that also has a code of ethics for recreation therapy, and that is slipping my mind this morning as well. We also have to look at things like credentialing expectations. That's something that we look at here. You know, by us being credentialed, accredited at the, that gives us the opportunity for our students to sit for certain things. So we have to make decisions at the university that fit what accreditation is looking for when they come to check on us. Credentialing expectations, when you earn the CTRS, what does NCTRC expect of you? That's what we're getting to with that. Your agency ethics, we talked about how your agency is going to have, you know, this is what we expect of you. This is how we expect our employees to behave. These are the things that you shouldn't do, you know. That comes down to things like even, you know, social media is such a huge thing now, but, you know, how you behave on or misbehave on social media can come back and bite you. I got in trouble at NMRC for a Facebook post that they didn't like. I laughed about it, but I did get in trouble for something that I put that was semi-negative. I should not have done that. I was disgruntled at the time, and I learned a lesson from that. And hopefully you can learn a lesson from that, because they do watch. When you don't think anybody's paying any attention, somebody's paying attention, or some little snitch is screenshotting and sending what you put on Facebook to the director of the facility. So just think about that. I'm giving y'all some real world stuff this morning, so hopefully you're taking notes on that. Now, this bottom portion is key, and it is important, and it matters. The manager sets the tone. And as a CTRS, you're most likely going to end up in a managerial position. You're going to be over people, and you set the climate, you set the tone where the norm is ethical behavior, is what is being shown, is what's being seen by our patient. That's what's being provided. That's the norm. And you're the one that ensures that by training the staff. This is what we're going to do. We're going to follow this code of ethics. This is how we're going to do it. And when you explain that, and when you train people in that way, then everybody kind of will just fall into line. And if someone doesn't, after clear instructions, then you're looking at those disciplinary actions, and you can find somebody else who will follow the code of ethics that you're laying down as the basis for what you're going to provide as a recreation therapy department. We know what ethics codes are. We've been talking about ethics a lot so far, even today. Self-regulating codification of your moral values. Ethics equal moral values. Ethics equal treat others as you would want them to treat you. You know, that's ethical. They're going to reflect the core values and the ideals of the profession that it represents. This is what we value. That's a big, very simple thing to put on here, but your code of ethics, these are the things that we value when we're offering our services to people. It's how we should or should not behave as a professional in our field. Professional codes are presented by ATRA and CTRA. That was the other one that has a code of ethics, also CTRA. So you know, a lot of times as a manager, we have to make decisions. And as a good manager, the decisions that you make are going to be ethical in nature. So in order to do that, we can use a professional approach, just like, you know, I've told y'all that API, this assessment, plan, implement, evaluate is something that can, no matter where you go, no matter whether you end up being a physical therapist, no matter whether you end up being a nurse, like I don't care what you're doing, there are going to be situations where you can take, if you remember this API plan and this API process, it fits so many things when you're trying to solve problems and help people. So when we're making decisions, we're trying to, in long, short story, we're trying to solve a problem. So we can use this API approach. Basically, if you think about making the decisions, you do a little bit of research, assessment. What are we trying to make a decision on? Okay, what should we try to do to fix this? That's your planning portion. Then you implement it and see whether it solved the problem. That's your evaluation. It's simplified, but you are following that same framework, that same pattern. And that's why I love the API process, in that it is so portable. It can be taken with you to whatever you end up doing. You know what I mean? It's used in a lot of different things. And that's what I tell people. I was talking to a girl yesterday that wants to get into the minor, and her goal down the road as of right now is PT school. And I'm like, look, we're going to talk about API. API is going to be helpful for you. We're going to talk about special populations that you're going to deal with if you are in the physical therapy field. This stuff is these are things that you can take with you and use regardless of where you end up. So she filled out the survey and she's coming in. So apparently my spiel worked on her. I threw pixie dust when she came in the room. So when we are showing and providing and being an example of ethics as a manager, ethical principles, they help the manager identify dilemmas or issues, problems that you're dealing with, and provide moral justification for decisions and behavior. Ethics equals, in large part, morals. Don't y'all agree? I mean, that's a large part of what ethics are all about. You're giving people, if you say I'm going to be there at 3 o'clock for your treatment, be there at 3 o'clock. You're going to give everyone equal effort. You're going to give everyone equal opportunity. That's moral to me. That's just good morals that you're offering. That's probably I've gotten 3 emails. That's probably the 3 people that aren't in their seats right now, I would guess. But that's okay. They don't want to come on the last day of class. I should just dock them like 100 points for that. Hope y'all watch this video. Okay. So back, we're talking about the decision-making model. Something that we have to do when we're basing our decision-making, we want it to be ethical. We want it to be moral. We identify the problem, including the decisions needed, and who the key individuals are that are going to be affected by the decision. Gather additional information to clarify the situation. Like, I could use this as a test question. You see this slide right here? Place this slide into an API format. Do you see the pieces of API up here on this slide? Just broken down, maybe out of order. Identify the ethical issues of the situation. What is it that we're trying to address ethically and make our decision based on? Define personal, professional, moral positions of the problem. So you're making, this is my take on it. Y'all tell me what you think. You'd go ahead and put that out there. As a leader, it's your role to tell them how you're reading the situation. And identify moral positions of the key individuals in situations. You identify value conflicts. Some people have things that are more important to them than others. So certain agendas have a higher value for one person than for the next. Something to kind of remember. You determine who actually should make decisions when decisions are to be made. Are you far enough up the ladder to make this decision totally? Is it a decision that we can talk about as a group and come to a consensus? You know, a lot of times that's a good choice for decision making. Because when people are involved, when they feel like they have a voice, they're going to buy into decisions a lot better, period. You need to look ahead when decisions are being made for your department, for your group, and think, what outcomes can we get? What are the things that could happen when we make these changes? And, you know, obviously, when you make a choice of something changing, there's going to be outcome. The whole reason for that is that you want to see different outcomes. So there may be multiple different outcomes. So you try to anticipate that and then say, well, if this happens, what are some alternative actions that we can take at that point? You know, you want to stay ahead of the game. That's the point of that portion of this slide. You try to anticipate outcomes and already have some alternative actions. You know, what's our response to these outcomes if they're negative? That's kind of what it's getting at. Once you get to that point, decide a course of action and carry it out. Go with it. Don't half-ass it. Just go. You know, once you make a decision, get everybody bought in fully, then you go with a decision. Say, this is what we're doing. You can tell them, this is how we're rolling. If it doesn't work out as well as we hope, then we will revisit this. But for now, buy in, play along, let's work together. That's kind of the whole key, and that's leadership right there. So when you make decisions, hopefully ethical decisions, you need to monitor the situation over time to evaluate and review the results of your decision. Have you made a positive change? Has it really shown any difference at all? Is it worth the difference that we're doing? Are we losing morale in the staff because they disagree with this decision? You know, you have to constantly be evaluating what's going on there. Okay. This is where I'm going to stop talking about this chapter right here. I will go back to my office later today. And if any of you care to go in and listen to the last little bit, because I'm sure y'all are going to miss me terribly after today, I will post this on my YouTube channel. Do you guys all know how to get there at this point? Again, I still don't understand why the big bucks aren't rolling in, because I've put a lot of videos on there now. And I thought I was supposed to get rich by now, but maybe I'm doing the wrong kind of stuff. Anyway, let me stop share. And let me make a note of where we are. Ethical, moral, decision-making model. Okay, we're going to stop there. Let me share screen to something different, and we're going to, let's see what we got here. I'm just going to click here at random. And let's see who we have, and let's watch a video.
Hey guys, this one is so long. I'm so sorry. I apologize right now because I don't really know what conducts Zoom meetings, so that's how I'm recording this. And I might have a little bit of delays in some things, but I'm gonna get through it. So I looked around for a lot of devices, and I saw a lot that were used for everyday, day-to-day life. And those are great. But I wanted to find something that was a little bit more specific to one area of activity. So I chose gardening tools, because that's something that a lot of our older patients, and definitely, it's therapeutic. Even if you're not elderly, a lot of younger people enjoy it, and it's very beneficial. So I made a PowerPoint, and I'm going to share something that
I make up. I would never think that.
Alright, so as you can see, I'm here adaptive gardening tools. So start off, we have baby tools. So these are really great, especially for older clients. It definitely keeps the wrist and the elbow stable, so you don't really have to worry too much about straightening those areas. The grip is really great because it can kind of direct exactly where they want it to go. It also has a band, so that kind of makes that tool stable as to where they want to drop it or things like that. And it's very, I think it's great. I think it's very useful. I think that a lot of older people will benefit from this. And it's a little bit easier to grab onto because it kind of has a textured grip. So that's that one. So the next one are these ergonomic tools. So normally gardening tools are straight angle, and even for a normal person or a person without, disability or things like that, it's very hard and kind of tiring to hold a straight angle. So these are kind of curved to be able to be. They're especially useful for people with arthritis and other joint issues, and it kind of reduces that strain. So I think that's great. So another one are the extended tools with handles.
They look kind of weird.
First, you would think that they wouldn't be very exact, and they wouldn't really be that manageable, and wouldn't go straight to where you want it to go because it's so far away from your hand. But I think these are very useful for people who have back issues, maybe who are in leg braces, back braces. I think that's really great. And this also has a handle, and as you can see, it kind of has a little bit of a grip on it. So that kind of reduces a little bit of the slippage and things like that. So the next are the tools with support bars and grips. So if you are doing something a little bit more strenuous, as you need a full-size tool, I think this is great. Again, anyone who's worked in a garden or any type of yard work knows that using these long tools and having to bend over and keep a grip on 2 points of it is kind of strenuous. So it's really great to see that they've added this bar, so it doesn't really make you have to bend down as far. You don't have to strain as much. And this also has a grip and it's rounded, so that kind of fits better into the hand as well as giving it a little more stability to grab onto. So that's it for like the normal tools that people with certain joint issues, wrist issues, back issues, things like that can use. These next two are pretty incredible, and I never would have thought of an adaptation like this. So the first one is a prosthetic with a spade, or kind of like a little hoe at the end. So these are called body power prosthetics. And the reason that is because most of the time people with prosthetics, they have kind of like a mechanical arm. And it can be kind of hard to manipulate tools with that.
That's awesome right there.
So this is a very good alternative. So it just gets straight to the point and it has a tool at the end. And it looks like you can put different tools on the end, which is really good. I think this is great because even if you use the other hand, you do have, it can kind of get tiring for that hand as well to keep manipulating that tool. So if you're going to be working all day or something like that, I think this is really great. And here's the next one. It's a body powered hook prosthetic. As you can see on his right arm, he has got a hook where his prosthetic would connect. I think that's really a lot more useful than the last because you can kind of grab any tool that you want. Like here he's using a hoe, but you can use rakes, pretty much any other thing like any other tool. I've also seen where these can be used for like tying knots, especially on like tomato plant, things like that, where you have to have strings to tie them to make sure they don't go anywhere. I think that's very useful, and I think maybe these are a little bit more adaptive than the tools for able-bodied and people who have both of their arms. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
Almost over y'all.
Okay, so what I got from this is there are a lot of adaptive devices, and they're really kind of numerous, and especially with the prosthetics, you can kind of use whatever tool you want. There is one thing that I didn't find, and I'm sure it's because it is probably pretty hard to make. But there is one thing that I would like to see. I would like to see some kind of tool, maybe with a built-in glove or something like that, that people who maybe don't have all of their fingers, maybe you have an amputated finger. And you wouldn't really think that would change much, but think about not having your thumb to grip onto any of those tools. That would be kind of hard. So maybe some kind of tool that has maybe a glove that already has a grip, or has some kind of prosthesis in the glove to make gripping a little bit easier. I really think that everything that I've done has been great. I never expected for there to be as many devices for just gardening as there are. So I'm glad that I found those, and I'll definitely think about using these. And even if you aren't, in therapeutic recreation, you can definitely recommend these to family or friends that maybe have trouble gardening, maybe in their old age, something like that. So I think these are quite a few very useful tools and definitely will be used because gardening is so big, especially down here, and even for therapy reasons. So I hope y'all enjoyed that, and thanks for listening.
Very, very nice job. Some very good adaptations too. Like that first one I loved because it sticks out to me because it did have the strap around not just an adaptive handle, but you also had the strap on the forehand to give that extra stability. That would work for Parkinson's patients that shake, people who have weakness in their hands, who may have had a stroke, tons of the different populations that we've talked about. And like you say, something to remember, you will be asked by family, by friends, by people that you just happen to run into at the store, and you have a conversation about what you do, and you tell them, what you do, and they're going to ask you, well, I've been trying to garden, but I'm having, yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised how many times you can share things that can help people but think just how many things you found when you looked up gardening. That's just one thing. There are so many different adaptations that are out there, and they're very, very, very important to allow, least restricted environment, real big in 262. We haven't talked about it as much since then. One of the main points of what we do, we want to make people as independent as they can possibly be, to raise their morale, to give them the opportunity to be as independent as they can be and do as much on their own as they can. That's what this whole deal was about. And you all did a really good job on this whole process. So a little golf clap since it's Masters Week for you guys. Let me see what else we have pulled up here. Okay. I can go back to, nope, I'm gonna have to close that. Zoom is still there. I think we're good right here. All right, this is silly, but I have to do this, because I have to pull this up from the grade center, and I don't want everybody's grades being just plastered out there. Isabella, we have not seen yours yet, right? I thought not. Oh, by the way, Hannah, you are getting off the hook. We may listen to yours, but your video will not show up in here. It worked in my office, but it will not render the file in here. And at this point of the game, yeah, I know I can tell you're all torn up about it. Maybe I can get it to work and I'll send it to everyone individually, because I know they want to see it. Let's see. Let me make sure. I'm not even sure I'm clicking on the right person at this point. Go away. Okay. Let's look at your attempt. Okay, another one. You all did really great. I thought this was fantastic, by the way. Just a precursor. There's my thought. And we'll, uh-oh, I got to get the video back up. I'm like Mr. Bull in the China shop all the time. I'm sure y'all have noticed that. I'm constantly banging around on everything up here. At least I haven't fallen yet. Speaking of that, let me move this chair, because you never know. It could still happen.
Maybe it'll be because you moved the chair.
Yeah, that's about how it works too. And we still have Presley. I think that's it from. And we're going to listen to yours at the very least. I can get the audio, but I came in here 30 minutes early today trying to get your video to pull up, and it just wouldn't work. So you have gotten lucky. Let me see, make sure. Oh yeah, I need to go back to the Zoom meeting and share your screen, because otherwise the ones who are not here today would not have the opportunity to see your work, and we don't want that to happen. So here we go.
For my Adaptive Device project, I decided to create a magnetic board game for children and adults with cerebral palsy. And so the purpose of this recreational activity is going to be to work on fine motor skills, as well as to improve social skills. Cerebral palsy presents itself through muscle tone variations, and these include muscle rigidity as well as muscle spasticity. And so both of these have to do with the tightening of muscles. And muscle rigidity is the stiffness of a muscle where you're not able to stretch the muscle out. And muscle spasticity is also the stiffness of a muscle. However, it has over-exaggerated movements with it. Another symptom of cerebral palsy is ataxia, which is the lack of balance and muscle coordination. So I have created this board game to not only improve and optimize the client's confidence in themselves, but also to reduce any possible discouragements that can come along with improving fine motor skills. The one main discouragement that came to my mind when I was thinking about board games is constantly knocking over board game pieces. We all know how it feels to get a new board game piece and to accidentally hit the board the wrong way and have everything, fall off the board. While this may not seem like a big deal to you and me, it can present itself as a barrier for clients with cerebral palsy that are working on their fine motor skills. I was able to reduce it.
It happens, I've seen it.
By adding a magnetic sheet to the bottom of the board game, as well as magnets to the bottom of each of the board game pieces and the cards themselves.
Here is the non-adaptive board game. And so as you can see, we have all of the pieces set out on it. And I can easily go grab my piece and move it to where I need to move it successfully. However, if I were to decrease the amount of muscle coordination I have, I could go to grab a piece and accidentally knock everything off of the board.
For a client with cerebral palsy that is working on their fine motor skills, we want them to be confident in themselves and in their abilities that they have. I'm able to increase their.
You missed the opportunity right then. You guys know those terrible infomercials where like pouring paint can be difficult and they're like pouring it on their own head or on the puppy. You could have like really like knocked the board like across the room for dramatic effect. Okay, next time. Yeah. I just thought of that. I was like, you could have done that with some figure.
Here is the adaptive board game. And as you can see, it is almost identical to the non-adaptive board game.
With having the adaptive board game look almost identical to the non-adaptive board game, it is going to increase that inclusivity between those clients with cerebral palsy and those without cerebral palsy. So they can all play together, which will also increase social skills, as well as the clients with cerebral palsy can feel like they can participate in activities that others can participate in.
I can roll in the pieces. They don't know.
As you can see in the previous video, it's very difficult to knock pieces off of the board game. Since the pieces are more stable, it's gonna reduce the amount of challenges that the client has to face when working on their fine motor skills.
What do you guys think? Good stuff, huh? I thought so. I love how you explained like inclusivity. That's something else that we really want to do. We want our people to feel like they are just one of the gang. And by designing that in a way that it was not apparent to even anyone else who was playing it, that was a perfect way to make an adaptation to that situation. So that was fabulous. All right, let's see. All right, I'm gonna cut that again because I think the only way I can pull up is to go to the grade center. All right, let's see. Right, Haley, let's listen. Hannah, I mean, let's listen to yours. Okay. Okay, I'm not even going to, I'm not going to turn it back on because it's not necessary for this.
Adaptive device video, and so I'm talking about a benefit that could help people with arthritis. When you develop arthritis, obviously an everyday task is difficult, from brushing your teeth to writing with a pen to typing on the computer. It's very difficult compared to someone who does not have arthritis at all. Because of that small grip, it's hard to, brush your teeth, like I said, write with a pen. So what this device originally, when I looked it up, it was actually to help people with Parkinson's who like to paint, or have a creative side. They were putting a paintbrush through a tennis ball. So I thought, why couldn't you?
Y'all can picture this, right?
Paintbrush or a pen to help people with arthritis, if you just wanted to do the everyday task. So I decided, put the toothbrush, have the tennis ball, and have 2 holes on either side, and put the toothbrush in between. And that way, the grip is wider for the patient, and they can make that everyday task of brushing their teeth a lot easier. So they wanted, write a letter to a friend. They could do the same thing with a pen. This just creates that grip, like I said, wider for the patient, and not as small and compact, and that way it can ease, hopefully, some of that pain for the patient.
Very good. Similar to Mary Brighton's putty, on the fork. Very similar in scope, but you can see how even without having putty, if you don't have that as something that you can use, tennis ball, drill you a hole through. You can stick various objects through there to make it where all they have to be able to do is grab a ball, which is going to fill most of their hand. That is not very hard to do. Even if people don't, have arthritis and they can't close their fingers like you and I, they're going to be able to close them enough to hold a tennis ball. Good idea, good plan. She actually showed some of it in the video, but like I say, I was unable to get that to show up. All right. Now back to Zoom. Let's share the screen one more time. Let's check out Presley here. Look at her little intro thing. Y'all see that? It was. Now it is.
Hey everyone, okay, so I chose to do my adaptive video on a child that has special needs such as,
Oh, geez. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about it wasn't on the, okay. I have too many things going on at once, trying to cover y'all's grades and trying to, okay. Let's let that get back up. Y'all are getting your money's worth on this final day of class. I don't want you to feel cheated, okay? And I'm gonna miss you guys, so, we would have a big group hug at the end of class today, but, with COVID and all, I guess we'll pass.
We'll just look at each other.
We'll just give each other the wave and. No, I actually just have spoiled you guys because you get out early every time, so you can't complain about today. I mean, I may keep y'all till 11:15. Who knows? I was gonna say some people are like, "No, you're not."
That's like when you have one teacher in high school who's like, "The bell does not dismiss you."
And you're like, "Yes, it does."
You want to get legal about it?
Yeah.
It does.
All right, here we go. Talk to us, Presley.
hey
Hey everyone, okay, so I chose to do an adaptive video on a child that has special needs such as autism or Down syndrome. These type of children usually have issues with their fine motor skills, such as using their hands to grasp things. They have mental delays. So I'm doing a activity with just simple as paper clips of different colors and having them move them from one box or one jar to another and separating them by color. This helps mentally and with their fine motor skills. Paper clip. This spoon is just to help them fidget if they need to, but she's going to separate them by color. So as you can see, I started by doing orange and one, blue and purple, and she's just going to demonstrate separating the colors out. And then this is just to fidget with a little bit, and she gets 2 more doing it.
She's doing a great job. You know how that looks like it would be, that would be silly for you or I, you know, to sit there, and if somebody had told us to do that for 20 minutes, you'd be like, what am I? But that would be literally, that could make someone's day that we work with. And when they have them sorted out, you know, like there will be a celebration at the end. And you are working on a lot of different things with that if you want to. You can incorporate, you know, a timing component where they have X amount of time to do each one, and it adds a little excitement to what they're doing. Okay, sorry, I interrupted you too. I didn't want you to feel left out.
Different, would anything else help you? I don't think so. I was trying to make it for 3 minutes, and she didn't know I'm asking. Okay, can we try different colors? Can we try blue?
That look she just gave you is priceless. Like, really? Are you messing with me right now?
Thank you.
All right.
You should have seen us trying to get there without laughing from the video.
I want to watch about colorful slime. Let's close that out. Let's go back to Zoom. Okay. At this point, I would like to thank you guys for a great semester. Thank you for coming in. For those of you that are finishing up your courses with me, I would love for you to come by and see me sometime. Do not be a stranger. The rest of you, I will terrorize you more in the future. Thank you very much. That will conclude our class for today. And the tests due, what did I tell you yesterday? Yeah, it's like the 23rd. It's the Monday of finals week by 4:00 p.m. That's the due date. Yeah, that must have been somebody else. You like?
I'm done.
I saw you looking yours over when you came in, and I was like, this girl's already done. I can tell. Well, good. Awesome. Enjoyed it. See you later. All right. Yes, sir. Enjoyed it. Okay, for the ones of you that missed, if you did not hear that, I think it was the 23rd. It's the Monday is the due date for the exam. Needs to be to my office, to me, by 4:00 p.m. that day. If you want, you can just slide it under my door. You can put it in the box outside my door. Either one will work. Had a great semester. Hate that you weren't able to be here on the final day, but this is the last time we're meeting, so do not show up moving forward or you're wasting a trip. So anyway, enjoyed it. Y'all have a great one. Good luck the rest of your semester, and I will look forward to you guys staying in touch. Bye.